State of Crypto.
I'm usually the counterexample, so I'm going to go through this because it's pretty fast. If you don't know me, I opened the first live cryptocurrency exchange 100 feet from the New York stock market on the ground floor in 2013. There's a movie, Banking on Bitcoin. If you haven't watched it, it's pretty informative about how regulation screws up ecosystems. I opened the Miami Blockchain Center. There's Mara Suarez there. I was a lot fatter back then. I lost 130 pounds. Come on, clap a little. I'm joking, don't clap. Yeah, we opened the Blockchain Center in Saudi a long time ago. So, we're talking about regulation. During the height of COVID, there was a UCC, by the Universal Law Committee, makes this universal commercial code that interstate commerce in the United States, each state's legislature rubber stamps this thing, and then they adopt the rules that states have for interstate commerce. And in 2020, someone called me up and said, hey, they're saying that only institutions can have private keys in the latest UCC, Universal Commercial Code, update. So I hired a bunch of lobbyists. We were talking about lobbyists up here before. I hired a bunch of these lobbyists, and we got FaceTime, with the state legislatures and explained to them that, I said, well, usually, this was in Texas. I said, the cattle, each cow is going to have a private key. It's going to be like a VIN number for the cow in the exchanges of the future. And this Universal Commercial Code update is going to make you, make the banks own it only. And the one state legislator jumped up and said, what'd you say? And then over and over, state after state, and they wanted to make these learning sessions, and then the Universal Law Committee from Boston, they pulled it out of the update. So that happened in 2020 during the height of COVID. They tried to slip that through. As a matter of fact, Senator Elizabeth Warren is from Massachusetts too, so now she has all those member banks with her. So the worst case scenario, I come up here and I give you the worst case scenario many times. So I believe that the mining companies now, most of the public mining companies are not really need Bitcoin to be going up all the time or to save the Bitcoin. Only the private mining companies have to sell the Bitcoin to keep growing and pay their bills. But the public mining companies are getting all this money from the government, from investors, and they're a little more lenient. And I think with this halving, the public mining companies are going to buy a lot of the private mining companies. And this ETF is swallowing up all the Bitcoin, and that means you're probably not going to have the alt season that we used to have in the past. So I believe the worst case scenario is the institutionalized whitelisting of wallets and the public, which means, and the whitelisting of the wallets and the public mining companies might not pull your transaction out of the mempool because you might get all private wallets might become sanctioned. This is a worst case scenario, right? So people were talking about before what would happen, with institutionalization. I think that's our worst case scenario because the OFAC list is out there. We're not on there yet. So the world's a bountiful place. Yes, I believe the world's a bountiful place. And I believe that through printing of money, they've stolen what should be rightfully ours. And if time was money, of course, every time they print money, they're stealing money. They're stealing time from you. I throw that in there. I think with decentralization is a big thing, that decentralized finance is a big thing, and algorithmic stable coins are incredible. As a matter of fact, Nikolai and Arun built MakerDAO in my apartment years ago, and that thing's running perfect. We run oracles. So The reason I'm in this business is because I believe I'm an activist more so than a businessman, especially lately. I'm an activist, and I'm trying to empower people or explain to them that strength comes from within. And the thing my father always says, "Thirio den gines and thirio den tros." That's an ancient Greek saying that says, a beast you'll never become unless you eat beasts. So he told me that when I was a little kid, every day. So we were talking about Africa before, and a friend of mine, Ray Youssef, who came to my meetups at Webster Hall, was a nightclub, biggest nightclub in New York City that I used to run. When I was 26 years old, I was one of the people who helped build it, and I ran it, whatever. But I had Bitcoin meetups at this huge nightclub. And I mean, we had Mick Jagger on the stage, Madonna, it was huge. And I met Ray there years before I opened the Bitcoin Center. And, I believe in Ray, and he has a peer-to-peer platform that is helping Africans in Pan-African trade. I think Africa, like I think Nick said it earlier, is somewhere where people should concentrate. And Ray's been there for, 13 years or something. And Pan-African trade, trade within countries is very difficult. You can't send a wire from, Nigeria to Ghana without paying a third of the money or something. It's like if New York, you couldn't send a wire to New Jersey, what would happen? So his platform's helping people do that. It's more of a movement, and that's why I'm helping him out. Many boots on the ground, of course. I'll go skip that one. So I'm working on helping Joe, movie producer Joe and Zach, and so people have traded or sold credits to movies. So I thought it was a very good idea to put it maybe on the ordinal to have a reason to actually have an ordinal, which is just blockchain proof of this movie credit, and it's working out pretty good. And so we inscribe an ordinal, big volume, on ordinals. So there's different, we made, 8 movies. We had How the Gringos Stole Christmas with George Lopez, came out in Christmas time. And there's a bunch of credits that you can buy that would be recorded on the blockchain, as an ordinal. So I think that's a very good use. I don't really believe in artwork only. Who wants to buy a JPEG, even if it's original? I'm sorry. But if it has some kind of functionality that actually works, I believe in that. Yeah, movie studios, a studio I'm involved with. These are a bunch of The Pledge. These are different movies that have a few, I don't know which ones are left. But you can put yourself, get like executive producer, which that market existed for years, but the provability on the blockchain is much better because you don't have to exercise the ordinal. You can trade it. So you can buy it early. Maybe they get a better star, and then the price would go up probably because you could trade it later to someone who actually wants his name up in lights. I don't want my name on that in Washington. Shot Citizen Wiener. That's a pretty good movie. This one's coming out. Yeah, that's astrology and economics. And the spoils is how Bitcoin paid basketball player Young Ones from Compton in Bitcoin. I forgot the name of his exchange. Uh-oh. And many more to come, of course. Yeah, pictures of pretty girls. Merchandising, all that. So I believe it's a great use of the blockchain. That's Bitcoin movie market. That's me. So I think that we have to look at this. I know that everyone wants a Lambo, right? And then, I tell everyone, oh, you're going to get a Lambo? What if they don't let you drive? We're at this precipice of humanity that for the first time, we can actually have custody of our worth, right? Because if you custody your work hours in anything else across time, you know, it could be deflated. It could be inflated and be worth nothing. I mean, if it's in the three-dimensional world, it could be seized. It could be, all things can happen. So I believe in this because I see it as a movement. My mother was a very powerful woman, and one time, you know, I was on the playground, I always got beat up. We moved to a new school, I was the brownest person there, and the principal said, "Oh, don't worry, they're just kids playing." And one day I beat up the bully, and he wanted to throw me out of the school and put me on the short bus to the school for the challenged people. And my mother came to the school and threatened the principal. She threatened, I'm not going to say what he said, but she threatened the principal. I couldn't believe it. She threatened the principal. She goes, "You are in the right." She goes, "You have to have tharos." So if you saw the slide before, tharos is a Greek word. And as we're walking out, a Greek word that means your fortitude, your ability to move through time affecting your environment and the people around you, your ability, your courage to move forward. They don't have that word in English because kings made English, and they don't want you to have that word because that's your operating system, the words you use. So she told me, "Don't let anyone take your tharos." And I'm telling you guys, don't let anyone take your tharos. This technology is here, is not for the institutions, but they'll copy it. You know, at one point I had 30% of the blockchain inventions and patents, And we'll see what happens down the road when they start using our inventions. But I'm here for freedom. Join me.